टीम को बुला लेते हैं पर लाइक हाँ वैसे तो है ही काफी लोग हैं या वी कैन डू कि हम अभी लिंक जनरेट कर देते हैं यूट्यूब का और उसके बाद हम ग्रुप पे मैसेज लिख देते हैं आवर स्पीकर हैज टू जॉइन लाइक इन अ व्हाइल एंड वी विल नोटिफाई यू व्हेन टू जॉइन जस्ट इन अ 5 मिनट्स और 10 मिनट्स लाइक वी कैन डू दैट आल्सो कोई हमको यूट्यूब पे लाइव भी ना देखे एंड वो यूट्यूब फिर स्मूथली आगे चलेगी हम लोग यहाँ भी बात कर सकते हैं ओके सो तो हाँ भेज दें हम डायरेक्टली लिंक भेज दें पूरा और वी शुड से कि अभी थोड़ा देर रुक जाओ 2 मिनट और स्पीकर हैज टू जॉइन यू आर अनम्यूटेड रघुवीर रघुवीर यू आर म्यूटेड
I think we should wait. Tell them that 5 minutes more because I think we should wait for ma'am to join.
Yes.
Also, we're live.
Raghuveer, you are muted.
Sorry. I was saying ki let's write on the group ki we are waiting for ma'am to join as soon as
she had some important work and she's just joining us in 10 minutes.
Because I got a few texts from random people asking for the link.
Yes. So who is writing?
You can type.
I'm not good at it.
It's fine, I'll write.
Thank you. Let's come. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Sorry, 5 minutes late. I just got held up with something.
No problem, ma'am. We can check if your PPT is working.
Sure.
Yes,
You need to enable my screen share, please.
yes, ma'am.
I still don't have the thing.
Yes, ma'am. 1 second.
Yeah.
Not getting the option, ma'am. 1 second.
No, it still says disabled.
Uh,
It says disabled participant screen sharing. Is there anything different from, maybe you might have to make me a co-host or something there?
Try again.
Yeah, I'll do it.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, now it's come. It's come.
Okay.
It's visible.
I'll put it on just 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Let me know if it's visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
So tell me when I can go ahead. I'll get started.
Yes, ma'am. Let's
I
just
can?
wait for 2 minutes.
Sure,
for
sure.
a few more people.
Definitely. Yeah.
Ma'am, I think we can start.
Okay.
Are we live on YouTube, Chanchal?
Sorry?
No, are we live on YouTube?
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Yeah, sure. Please check and tell me.
Yes, we're live.
Yeah, we are. Okay. Can I get started then?
Yes, ma'am. I'll just do a small
Please,
introduction.
go ahead. Sure.
So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first session of the Scientific Voyage. Today, we have with us a very eminent personality in the field of medical research, Vasumathi Sriganesh, ma'am. Ma'am is the founder and CEO of the well-known NGO PUBMED Knowledge Foundation, and she is a librarian who has worked in the healthcare sector since 1992. She has undergone special training in searching the literature for evidence-based medicine, and in 2013, she won the International Clinical Librarians Conference Evidence into Practice Award, which was established in the same year to honor a practicing librarian or informationist who has made outstanding contributions to bring evidence into the practice in the field of healthcare. She is also recognized as a faculty of the Maharashtra University of Health Sciences for research methodology workshops and as a specialty speaker by the Maharashtra Medical Council. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today. It is an honor to have you here with us. And for all the people who are watching us right now on Zoom or YouTube, if you have any questions to ask, ma'am, please feel free to type in the chat box or on the YouTube comments. After the webinar is done, I will ask the questions to ma'am on your behalf. And the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And I have to say it's as much an honor for me to speak because I love speaking at UG events, simply because I believe the UG audience is the best for our learning. And I'm hoping that each one of you takes this learning across your career, because I think it's very important, and the more you folks do it, you'll make a difference. So thanks again for the invitation. Before I move on, I've planned this one in such a way, the first literature search thing, that after every section, I stop for questions. Whoever is coordinating the questions, my request is choose the ones that are particularly relevant to that section. The general ones, we can keep it at the end. Some things which are not directly related to that section, we can keep it for the end. As best as you can, whatever we can take at the end.
Oh,
Yeah. So this is a brief biodata about me. Part of it has already been shared and you can take a quick glance. Why I specifically like showing this is I want to emphasize that librarians are the people who have undergone the kind of training that it takes to do good literature searching and referencing. But in our country, though we are the founders of lots of theories in library science, somewhere we've taken a backseat to this. I'm hoping that when all of you become decision makers, you will take this profession more seriously and see that it is part of an institution. So I'm just putting a tiny seed in your heads with this. A small introduction to our foundation, PUBMED Knowledge Foundation. We are a registered not-for-profit trust, registered with the Charity Commissioner Mumbai. So we are a public body. And what we do is, we call ourselves change makers. And what do we do to make a change? Skill building in online searching and referencing. Two areas that are badly neglected in the medical curriculum, in the research arena, everywhere. So we hope that with our skill building, we offer a contribution by which there's a better impact in strengthening research methodology in different ways, eventually evidence-based care and treatment for all and a healthier population. How do we do our skill building activities? Online courses, which I'll talk about right at the end. We've done a lot of workshops and lectures, and we also do mentoring for those who have registered for our online courses. The importance of literature searching. There is this ATCOM book, which is also got all the content in terms of what it takes in the curriculum to build the right Indian medical graduate. And I like to point out to this, demonstrate ability to search, including through electronic means. So it is actually there in your curriculum. But again, as I keep emphasizing, it's fairly neglected. Very few people discuss this in detail. You are told, go search the literature, but never taught how to do it. Okay. Whereas we've been teaching these skills formally since 2008. And personally, I've done a lot more since the 1990s. I'll do a little bit of basics about what knowledge is in terms of literature searching. So in any knowledge, there's background and foreground knowledge. If you people are going to become doctors, your foreground knowledge will be about the adverse effects of specific drugs or what are the recent things about COVID, etc., etc. But your background knowledge is all that anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, basics of medicine, everything. You can't do any of the treating before you've acquired all that foundational knowledge. So in terms of searching, the background knowledge has to be about information resources and certain principles of searching. What are the foreground knowledge areas? How do you narrow down your search results? How do you save results? How do you apply results to patient care? That is what you will need afterwards, but everybody rushes to do all this without obtaining the background knowledge that is needed. And that's what I like to focus on. And I will attempt to make it as simple and interesting as possible. So the agenda for today, first, background about resources, a few minutes, understanding various kinds of resources. A little background knowledge about searching, again, very simple. Exercises on searching. Some more background. This is a little more advanced. You'll understand as I do it. And an additional tip. So this is all the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg that is the activity of literature searching. If I could make a profession of it, you can imagine, and plus I'm learning something new every other day. It's a huge iceberg. I'm going to introduce you to the tip of the tip of the tip, as I said. I'll also tell you how you can learn more in your professional life. So that will be about PUBMED's courses. I'll speak about it right at the end. And as I said, lots of example and time for questions. As I take each section, I finish it. Any doubt about that section, just ask me right away. Okay? So let's move on. Literature search first. Now, when do we need to do literature search? All of you, right from UG projects, whenever you get to post-graduation, the thesis, protocol stage, project report, thesis stage. Later on, if you're writing articles, book chapters, some of you have started in the UG days itself. And then what we shouldn't forget is everybody thrives on academics and research when they talk about literature searching. But in practice, you need to stay updated and offer evidence-based care for patients. So you need to know not only staying updated, but how do you find evidence, how do you create evidence, and more. And all these activities, literature searching is a very vital thing. I can't help stressing it's fairly neglected. Now, when we search literature for all these activities, as I said, we have broadly 3 levels of needs, general to specific. So I've put down 3 questions here. You can make out general, more specific, very, very specific. And what are the kinds of information resources? I said I'll be talking with a little background knowledge about resources. So this is where we are. Okay? Resources that take care of foundational learning need. This is additional learning need and action. Sorry, I've not come to resources. I'm talking about this is a very foundational learning need, additional learning and action need. It's either patient care or policy making, right? And then we go on to the mapping resources to needs. For the first kind, which is learning, all the basic background factual information. Factual ones are usually for references, like you read textbooks, handbooks, manuals for a lot of learning. You want to find out some facts, you would look up a dictionary or an encyclopedia. All these things, whether they're print or electronic, is not the issue here. These are the resources that would take care of basic needs. Little more advanced learning needs. You have journals and you have this group which is called gray literature or unpublished literature or not yet formally published. So thesis, conference presentations, clinical trial registries. Every country has one where any group that's going to perform a clinical trial, going to conduct a clinical trial, has to register the trial first, keep updating their findings and publish their results there. Even though they enter their results there, that is still not a published piece of information. Only when it becomes a journal article, it is considered a published piece of information. So published resource, not yet published, or gray literature. Finally, the kinds of needs where you have to make a decision, either for treating a patient or for making a policy, you need the results of research all pooled together. Analysis, synthesis of research-based resources. So maybe a study comparing 2 drugs has been presented in a thesis, in a couple of conferences. There are studies which are going on and they're all there in the clinical trial registry. Some have got published in journals. They're all scattered. When all those results are pooled together, they become what is called a systematic review, and evidence gets generated from there, because it's better to have results from 10 studies rather than 1 study. So we know the status of evidence for that particular topic. From evidence, you have resources that are very useful for clinicians. One group of resources is called guidelines, which are super specific. That is, guidelines for the management of a patient with 1, 2, 3, whatever. Okay. And then you have summaries, which are so often updated and are exactly that, a summary, which could be about a disease or about an intervention. So clinicians keep on checking out those summaries to ensure that they are updated. And those summaries are updated very often by experts taking evidence from systematic reviews. So if you go through the slide, you really need to take a picture and keep it ready all the time, so that when you go to any website, you should know whether it has one of these types of resources, more than one, many more of each kind, whatever combinations, and you should know whether that resource will work for your specific question. If yes, which area of the resource you go to, and so on. So get very clear about this, that a single website is not a resource, because the website may have only one journal, or it may have 20 textbooks, 15 journals, and some summaries. So you need to know which of them works for you for what. Research resources, the middle group, the types 2 and the type 3. The first was not resource, those are learning resources. So type 2 and 3 have a hierarchy. This is called the evidence pyramid of research papers. I just told you about the results of research which give you evidence. So when you're reading a publication, whether it's a journal article or whatever, you should know where it stands in this evidence pyramid. So if we divide it into 3 areas, right at the bottom, an article which is about animal research or test tube research or just an idea or editorial opinion, etc. These are the basis on which research evolves. So that's something you've got to just know this is happening in the world. The middle group is all research done on patients. Sorry for this. Research done on patients. Case reports are about individual patients, case series slightly larger, and so on. Among primary research, randomized controlled double-blind studies give the best evidence. Cohort studies, next best, and so on. All these you will be taught at some point or the other, and even you will know why they are considered like this, mainly because of the bias that could come in and the number of samples studied in each case. But real best evidence comes from systematic reviews and meta-analysis, where each publication studies several such large studies. Okay. So this is another thing to remember very clearly. When you're looking for a proof of something, first see if there's a systematic review on it. If there isn't, look for randomized controlled trials and so on. So from systematic reviews emerge, as I said earlier, guidelines and summaries for the clinician to constantly stay updated and know what is happening. Also to remember, narrative reviews and expert reviews are not sources of evidence. They are sources for higher learning, usually written by experts. So yes, very important to read up, but they could be biased. And the method by which studies are selected for them to review may not be really the best of the lot. So narrative reviews and expert written reviews are considered sources for much higher learning, but not sources for evidence. It's systematic reviews that are sources for evidence. The type 3 results, that is systematic reviews, guidelines, etc., they may be published in journals, systematic reviews and guidelines, or in specific web databases, like the Cochrane Library has a Cochrane database of systematic reviews. NICE guidelines are published in the NICE website. ECRI guidelines are published in the ECRI website. UpToDate, Dynamed are 2 well-known websites which have summaries of diseases and drugs. These 2 are free. Cochrane Library is free up to abstracts of the systematic reviews. Some reviews are free. UpToDate and Dynamed are paid websites. Even to just look for anything, you've got to pay. Type 2 and type 3 resources to find journals and results of research. There are free indexes different levels of information available. The most popular being PubMed. Why am I saying it's an index? Whenever you search, it tells you, it gives you a list of results telling you that in this journal, this year, volume number, issue number, there is an article on whatever you've searched. So it provides abstracts free. It links to the full articles. The articles being free or paid are decided by the publisher. Cochrane Library, systematic reviews, the abstracts are free. Selected reviews are free. The Cochrane Library also has a database of clinical trials where only the titles are free. You can't see beyond that. Lilacs is a Latin American, sorry for a spelling error here, Latin American focus journals. Abstracts are free, links to articles, just like PubMed. Pedro is a physiotherapy specific, abstracts free, links to articles. ERIC is an education database, abstracts free, links to articles. So there are different kinds of indexes to find journal articles. There are indexes that are not free at all. You have to pay even to log in and enter your search terms. Embase, very much like PubMed, but lots more European journals. CINAHL is an index to nursing literature. PsycInfo for the psychological sciences. Scopus, a variety. Web of Science is a citation index. How many times has something been cited and so on. So there are so many resources. One has to get to know what each one is. Don't worry if I sound like I've bombarded you. Nobody is expected to know all this overnight. I just want to give you an awareness at this point that there is a lot of variety in what kind of resources are there, and there are ways to learn what each one is about. There are directories of journals, directory of open access journals, Medno, and so on. And there is an archive called PubMed Central, where journals deposit a copy of their articles. Okay, almost all these journals in directories are indexed in one or more index databases. That is, if you go to DOAJ, you'll see a whole lot of journals, but their articles are also included in PubMed and many other resources like that. So you will have duplication that way. This, I think I've already told you some of these. Yes, I've told you. So with all this, which resources does one go to? It depends on your information need. I already told you this. So depending on, do you want to know something for practice, you need to look for systematic reviews, guidelines, etc. Generally for higher learning, it is journals and gray literature. Okay. Now, it also depends on your access and budget. So all free resources, definitely you should go to. The paid ones, go and find out if your institution subscribes to them. Many people make this mistake. They don't ask their libraries and they don't know that they actually have access to certain resources. And if you do have access, then what do you need to know? What is the coverage of your research? If your research is very basic, most of the free resources will themselves suffice. And coverage advanced, you need to know if you're authoring a systematic review. Then you should go to as many resources as possible. So just a quick recap of whatever I've told you. Resources are there for basic learning, textbooks, etc. Additional advanced learning like journals and more. And decision-making and evidence policy, systematic reviews, guidelines, etc. Which resource depends on your need, your access, your research coverage. So any questions at this point about resources, whatever I've talked about? Anything else, keep for the end.
What is meta-analysis?
What is meta-analysis? So meta-analysis is when, let's say we are comparing drug A and drug B for falciparum malaria. We find 10 large studies which have published results. Some will say drug A is better, some will say drug B is better, some results will say we are not at all sure yet. Some will say that both are equally good. When All these results are analyzed with a specific statistical method. The result is called a meta-analysis, analysis of results of different studies. There are specific statistical methods to do this. So the end result is a meta-analysis of many studies, which provides stronger proof of the whole thing than one individual study does. Any more questions?
Ma'am, there is one question regarding, someone has typed that, Nishant Garg has typed that what is difference between narrative review and systemic review?
Yeah. So a narrative review, as I said, is usually written by one expert, sometimes maybe one or two, three, whatever. They take a topic. So I'll just take the same one, that is, let's say falciparum malaria. It will not be as focused. It will be a narrative review on falciparum malaria. So they would use their own expertise, plus they would have studied a lot of papers and write what they have read from each of them and give a thorough list of references for you to read up. Okay? So they have actually compiled knowledge from all that. A systematic review, on the other hand, has a whole bunch of proper systematic steps that need to be done. First, the question has to be very focused. As I said, drug A versus drug B for falciparum malaria, and you want to specify one or more outcomes, not just stop with that. Second step is you have to search the literature so thoroughly that you should ensure that you have not missed any study that is comparing the two for those outcomes. You've got to list the search processes in very systematic methods. Then you've got to do that meta-analysis. And you've got to write in advance, say, you've got to register your review, say what all steps you will take, what all steps you didn't take. There's a whole systematic process so that reader can analyze what went right, what went wrong in it. The whole objective of a systematic review is to arrive at evidence, whereas a narrative review is to pull together all the current knowledge on the topic.
Ma'am, there is another question.
Yeah.
What is citation index?
A citation index. So let's say I have written papers. How many times my papers are cited in other journals or books, etc. So a citation index does this for a huge number of journals, authors, etc.
And ma'am, there is one more. Somebody is asking for suggestions for free medical journals for systemic review submission and original article submission, if they are.
Yeah. So for a systematic review, definitely you cannot stop with only what is free. You should try hard to get hold of the original paper because it is still relevant to this. I will be talking about this at the end, but you can just note down our website, qmed.ngo. In our website, go to the section called resources, and it's a menu button. When you click there, the very first one we've listed is a guide to finding full text articles. So what all you can do your best to try and find full text articles is an effort that should ideally be made always, not only for these kinds of things. Because whenever you cite a paper, you should have read it, not just read the abstract, ideally. Okay, so can I go ahead now? Anything else?
Ma'am, there is one more. How can we be sure of the authenticity of a study that we wish to cite?
So this is, there are several things. I'll very quickly answer this. One is wherever it came from. If it's a book or a journal, as long as it's a fairly well known, it's listed somewhere, etc. And that's not very difficult to find out. Then so this is at the top level. But if there is something called critical appraisal of every study, and that consists of a bunch of checklists. So again, since the question came, there is a website called CASP, C-A-S-P, CASP-UK.net, CASP, which is Critical Appraisal Skills Program, -UK.net. In that website, look for a link called checklist. So there are checklists for different kinds of, and has the study covered all this? Then is it a reliable enough study? So that's a fairly in-depth thing. But at a top level, is it a good journal? Is it a good book? Is it just somebody's blog? How authentic that is. Because this itself has a lot of nuances internally. So I've just named some of them. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead.
Yes.
Because... So now we come to searching. First, let's understand search engines. Google and PubMed, what's the difference? Google is a search engine. It searches across any website on the internet. PubMed has a search engine. It is first a database. Okay. This is a very, very predominant difference because many people tell me PubMed is a search engine. Whereas PubMed is a database and has a search engine database, not across all over the internet. Okay. The order of events in both of these. Google, any website added on the internet, within a few days, Google will trawl, find it, search it. But in most cases, Google does not search database content in websites. So when Google trawls PubMed, it searches up to a point and not into each and every result in PubMed. Sometimes you will find a result, but that doesn't come from PubMed directly. It comes through other means. PubMed, an item first has to be added into PubMed. What do I mean by this? Let's say NEJM journal. Okay. Suppose the latest issue is out on the web, but those articles are not yet. PubMed will not find that article yet. Usually they send it in advance or earlier. But a lot of our Indian journals are like that. It will be up on the web, but it hasn't reached PubMed yet. So PubMed search engine will find it only if it has been added to PubMed. Okay? So an addition of journals to PubMed are based on several criteria. So with that thing, let's go on to two fundamentals of searching. The first fundamental is the computer's brain and the human brain work differently. What do I mean? When we search, we think or hope all results will be about our search term. That is obvious. It's a dream for us. But what the computer thinks is, when I fetch results, every result should contain the search term. I don't care if it's about it or not. So what happens if we search asthma and COPD patients? We expect all our results to be as relevant as this. The coverage may be different, but the relevance is high. But as far as the computer brain goes, it thinks even this is relevant, though the word excluding is there. As far as it is concerned, asthma, COPD are there, it is relevant. Now, second fundamental, we can do a special search telling the computer, results should contain our search terms in specific parts or areas of the results. What do I mean by this? I think most of you will be familiar with the PubMed record, title, author, year, the different areas. So we can specify we want our word or search, etc., to be search term, etc., to be in one of these areas. How do we do that? We do it by tagging. In PubMed, if I type asthma, tag it with TI, or if I type white, tag it with AU, then one of the articles I would be getting is this, where asthma is in the title, white is in the author area. In PubMed, the tag has to be inside square brackets. That's very important. So I've just done a recap of the two. Results contain our search terms, and we can specify where that containing should happen by tagging. Now, based on that, there are 4 principles of searching. First is based on the first fundamental. Second and third are based on the tagging principle, tagging fundamental, and the last is the combination. So I'm again taking PubMed as a context because that's free and everybody searches it. So let's set aside Google, which is primarily a search engine. Any resource, first we need to know it. What exactly is PubMed? It is an index to articles published in 5,000 plus journals. The PubMed database does not contain the full text articles. It contains bibliographic details and abstract where available. So this is a typical PubMed record. You click the title, you see the abstract. That is how much is contained in PubMed. And if there is a free article, it's only there in the form of a link. You click the link, you're taken to the journal website, which is out of PubMed, and that is where the full article is. Okay, right? So the first principle, when you do a word or keyword search, just plain words, the results contain a term anywhere in the result area. So in PubMed, anywhere means anywhere in the bibliographic details or abstract. The second principle is descriptive tag search. The results contain a term in the description area. What do I mean by a description area? Let's see. If I click a title, then there is a link called mesh terms on the right side of the screen, which is the description area. If I click the link, I'm taken further below, but for convenience, I'll get that area up here. So this is the description area, set of terms. The terms are added to most records in PubMed to describe the article, which means this article is about all these words here. Now, before I tell you how all that comes in, how do we do a search, descriptive tag search? Just like we did TIAU, we put the name of the area here, asthma mesh. And what do we mean by that? Please find the term asthma in the list of mesh terms. That's the area to search. So the search engine understands the PubMed search engine, which searches only the PubMed database, understands that we wanted to find the word asthma in this area. It finds these and this record comes up in our search results. Now, who adds these descriptive terms? First thing, it describes the whole article, and it's added by specialist indexers, human beings, from the National Library of Medicine, where this PubMed database is compiled. The third principle, other tags, factual tags. Just like I showed you earlier, each area is there and we can say where. How does this happen? If I search with the tag TI, the PubMed search engine will search the term in the title of every item in PubMed. If I type TIAB, it will search in the title, also in the abstract. So it will get you more results. JOUR, it will look for the word drugs as the journal title. There is a journal whose name is drugs. It will look only in all those records. White AU, I explained earlier. Drugs AD is author's address, Institute of Drugs and Pharmaceuticals, or Department of Drugs and something. And now you understand that if we don't tag our search, it searches all these areas, but it does not leave the PubMed website and go to the full text of the journals, etc. That is outside. Numbers, some examples are page is a tag, so it looks for the page number 143. PDAT or DP, that's publication date or date of publication, will look for the year area of the record. So these are ways you can tag your search and do more relevant searches. When do we do this kind? I want articles by an author in a specific journal from a specific institution. So here I search Slim AU, I get author Slim in each of them. If you want the initial, you'll have to put it after the author's name, Slim R, Slim K, etc. Retina, JOUR, I'm getting articles from the journal Retina. Nanavati Hospital, AD. So I've got these results. If I click a title, then just below the title in the author affiliation area, we see Nanavati Hospital. Right. Last principle, results contain our terms in combinations we specify. So when you combine two or more terms, what happens? Let's, just to make the situation lighter, let's see an interesting thing here. Suppose you're looking for a marriage partner through shadi.com or any of those sites. you first thought of 4 attributes. You're looking for a doctor, but the moment you say, I want a doctor for my partner, and the doctor must be good looking and tall and a foodie, your results come down from say 20 to 11 to 5 to 3, because you're insisting that now each person has to have all these attributes. So every and your results comes down. Whereas if you said, I want a doctor or a good looking person or a tall person or a foodie, your numbers go higher and higher. Okay? So let's come back with searching a database like PubMed. Now we know that if you type in a query like this in PubMed, not only are you not tagging your terms, but you're combining your terms with prepositions and conjunctions in the English language, and these are ignored by the search engine. They are programmed that way. So we need to combine our search terms with and or not. These 3 terms have to be typed in capitals for the search engine to understand that you want a combination. And these 3 terms are technically called Boolean operators. So how do these Boolean operators work? Suppose I searched the word asthma alone in PubMed. Let's say for the purpose of this exercise, I got 100 results. I searched bronchitis alone, I got 70 results. So I put these 2 numbers here. If I type asthma and bronchitis, as I just said in the shadi.com example, the numbers will come down because I'm insisting that I want to know how many records in PubMed contain both together. So it will obviously be less than 70. Theoretically, maximum could be 70. So let's say we got some 45 results. Next, asthma or bronchitis. What is my query? How will the computer understand it? How many records in the entire database contain at least one item or may contain both items together? Now, in this case, it will be 100 plus 70 minus 45, because this 45 is there here, this 45 there is here. It's the same 45. So we don't want duplicates. It will remove one set of duplicates, get us 125. Last, asthma, not bronchitis. How many records contain asthma, which is 100, but not bronchitis? So inside the 100, remove the 45. It's not 100 minus 70. From the 100, remove the 45 that contain bronchitis, and we get 55. It seems very easy, and it's actually the same as the Venn diagrams which you learned in high school. But what you need to guard is, don't think like a human, think like a computer when you do Boolean operators. Because otherwise, if we say asthma 100, bronchitis 70, asthma and bronchitis, we automatically say 170. This has happened in a lot of live workshops. That's why I stress this. So think like a computer, okay? Because that's the one that's going to give you the results. So when you combine 2 or more search terms, use Boolean operators. Remember this. The moment you use and, every result item contains every search term, so your results will be less. Opposite for or and not is logically like English, your results will be less. So the 4 principles, we'll do a recap. Word search, results contain a term anywhere in the bibliographic record. The result, the search term may be there in the full text, but the PubMed search engine does not go search the full text because the full text is not in the PubMed database elsewhere. Mesh search, that is, if we tag our search term with the word mesh, the results will contain our search term in the list of mesh terms. Field search, when we tag our terms with AUTIJOUR, the results will contain our terms in the field that we specify. And if we search using Boolean operators, it will contain the results in the combinations we specify. So remember that we specify these tags, and whatever we put in is what the computer will interpret, get it out. We have to put it in correctly. That's very important. Questions on the fundamentals, the principles of searching, mesh?
Ma'am, there are no new questions.
No new questions. Great.
There are a few which are not related to this topic. So should I keep them for the
We'll keep
end?
that to the end. We'll keep that to the end. Yeah.
And we have one question just now, which
Okay,
is related
yeah.
to this.
Fine. Go on. Yeah.
If PubMed has only the abstracts, how can we access the full article?
So many of them have links to the full article. And for the rest of it, as I said, if you go to qmed.ngo, go to the resources button, go to the guide to finding full text articles, go through that. We've listed how all you should try and get hold of the full text articles. PubMed is an index. Its job is not about giving you full text articles. The fact that they've linked to the journal, when they link it straight to that article. Whether it's free or not is a decision of the publisher. Right. When you search, there's something called truncation or wildcards. In PubMed, the symbol star can be used. What does that mean? If I search the word asthma followed by star, it will retrieve items where the word asthma, asthmas, asthmatic, asthmatic, asthmaticus, all those will come. We don't have to type all those words. And in PubMed, there's only this one truncation option. You can use star only at the end. Why I specify this is some of those advanced databases, the paid ones, may have option of putting a star in the beginning. So something like star feeding will get you breastfeeding if it's a single word, that kind of thing. One thing about this, because many people have made this mistake, remember, the star means any characters, any letters after asthma. Like here there is S, here there is TIC, here there's TICUS. It's not about searching asthma treatment, asthma diagnosis, things like that. No, that is different. That's a separate word. When you search this, it's the word variations that you're searching for. Okay? So if you want to search something like dental star, then it does not mean you're searching for dental fluorosis, dental caries. No. The moment you put dental, any word after that will automatically come. But this is only for variations in spelling or characters. Okay. So other databases have still more options, like this hashtag sign, question mark, dollar. And for example, WOM, this hashtag star will retrieve woman or women. So all these options are there. You'll have to check help files of those other databases. In PubMed, there's only star. You can put it only at the end, not in between, not in the beginning, nothing. Additional Boolean operators that are there. There's near, there is next. Again, it's not there in PubMed. I'm only sensitizing you. So I'll quickly show some exercises with all these principles. First thing, now understand that whenever you're putting in a query, don't put in a sentence. You put in a word or number, tag it, put the Boolean operator, next word or number. When I say word, even a phrase like retinopathy of prematurity, because that's a condition, you can do that. So examples, diabetes TI or hypertension TI. I want either of these words coming in the title, and I'll scan, I'll pick up a few articles. I want to read it. I just want to read something about them. Stem cell transplantation mesh, articles about stem cell transplantation in the year 2016. So you're saying and, so that both conditions are met and you're doing the search. I need an article about asthma appearing on page 143. About asthma is asthma mesh, 143 page. Combine it with and, because both conditions are important. My HOD told me to read up articles by N.D. Brown in the journal Pediatrics. Again, both are compulsory in our results. Initials have to come afterwards. So Brown, N.D., AU, and Pediatrics, JOUR. So your search term, tag terms can all be in any case. Boolean operator has to be in capital. Truncation search, you want to find out approximately how much literature in PubMed covers toxicology. Toxicol star, you get toxicology, toxicological, toxicologist, etc., etc. Let's do a topic search. I want to quickly read up something on use of biomarkers in pneumonia as well as in bronchitis. So this needs some planning. All those were very factual. Results. Your result item must contain biomarkers, either pneumonia or bronchitis or both together. So some articles will have biomarkers pneumonia, some biomarkers bronchitis, some biomarkers and both conditions. So we know that we are going to search these three terms, add Boolean operators first, biomarkers and pneumonia or bronchitis, because you want it in either of the conditions. Next, you have to put it in the correct order, because if you type it in that order, PubMed will first pull out all items which have biomarkers and pneumonia together, or that set with everything about bronchitis, everything that has bronchitis. So the correct order will be pneumonia or bronchitis coming first. You could even type it as bronchitis or pneumonia, that won't make a difference. And biomarkers. So now it will pull out everything that has either of these words. The and biomarkers, it understands the biomarkers has to be inside this set, so that some of them are these two, some of them are these two, some of them are all three. Having done that, you need to tag your search. Our purpose in this case was we just quickly want to read some articles. So even if you just do a TI search, you'll get a handful out of which you can choose and read. But remember, a TI search is only for quick and dirty results. If you get too few, you can try TI-AB. But when you want to do research on the topic, it has to be pneumonia mesh or bronchitis mesh and biomarkers mesh. Everything will be about these, even if these words are not in the title abstract. The mesh terms will have these words. That means the article is about it. Quick revision. Results contain our terms. We tag terms to say where. The four principles: word search, descriptive tag, factual tag, combination. Boolean operators in capitals. Tags in PubMed in square brackets. Any quick questions on all these?
Ma'am, after
Yeah.
you explained the operators, somebody asked that, is this confined to a single word in the title, or does it include the entire text?
So it really depends. I suppose I wanted to, as I said, that last example which I did, pneumonia or bronchitis and biomarkers. Did I say bronchitis? Whatever it was. If I want to quickly read this thing, I'm searching the title. The Boolean operator depends on what information we want. The tag is to say where. Has that answered it?
Hope so.
Yeah.
So
If
another question is,
Yeah.
if we want to search studies if we want to search studies about a topic XYZ published after 2019, how do we tag our keywords?
Yeah, so you will have to put the after 2019. So you say 2020 and we are in 21 right now. So 2020 colon 2021 and in square brackets DP, that is date of publication. So let's say you want something on malaria or say falciparum malaria. You say falciparum malaria mesh and 2020 colon 2021 square bracket DP. So results published in the year 2020 and 21.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Anyone comes up with questions, we can anyway take them at the end also. Okay. Right. So now we know the four principles. Okay. See, this thing is going on a little longer, but the referencing, I'll make it shorter. That's a shorter topic. So don't worry about time. So let's learn a little more about mesh, because it's not enough to say that I tag a term with mesh and results will be about it, because there's something more than that. What is mesh? The full form is medical subject headings. It's a collection of standard terms, just like a dictionary is. Mesh is a thesaurus. And it's only terms from this collection that professional indexers will take and tag to articles to describe every article record. So before I just move on, for example, why is the utility of it? If different authors write about myocardial infarction with different terms, one writes myocardial infarction, one writes myocardial stunning, one writes myocardial shock, one writes heart attack, one writes heart arrest. For all of them, the indexer will put the standard term myocardial infarction. You search myocardial infarction tagged with mesh in square brackets, you will get all the articles irrespective of whatever an indexer has tagged with whatever an author has written in their thing. So it's an easier way of getting all the articles. And because the indexer has gone through each of them, there's a guarantee that all of them are about this topic, even if that exact word is not there. So we have to find the right mesh term from the thesaurus. Where is the thesaurus? When you go to PubMed, you normally see only the blue area. We don't bother to scroll down. Scroll down a little, there's a whole bunch of links. Mesh database is here. If you're viewing it on your mobile, just keep coming down. It'll be almost at the end because first you'll see these, then these, and so on, and then explore. So when you click there, you reach the mesh database. We have left the main PubMed. This is the thesaurus for standard terms. I'm typing in pregnancy-induced diabetes. I want to know, is this a standard mesh term that I can tag with mesh? I click search. I'm told that the standard term is diabetes gestational, which is gestational diabetes. There's an explanation below which says diabetes induced by pregnancy result at the end. So it very clearly explained this. Goes on further to say it does not include previously diagnosed, that is already known diabetic patients who become pregnant later. If there are papers on this, the indexer will tag them with pregnancy in diabetics. So you know the difference in both, right? Similarly, spectacles, the mesh term is eyeglasses. The purpose is to aid or improve vision. Does not include goggles or non-prescription glasses, for which the mesh term is eye protective devices. So let's do this topic, biomarkers for pneumonia and bronchitis from the mesh database. How do we start? Find the term, run our search right from there. So I'm putting in the first term pneumonia. I click search. This time I get a list of mesh terms which contain the word pneumonia. The first is pneumonia, so I select it. On the right side of the screen, there's a box called PubMed Search Builder. When I click Add to Search Builder, it automatically gets in here as pneumonia tagged with mesh. Next, my next search term is bronchitis. I type that in. I click search. I select bronchitis. And you remember I said we have to do some planning first, and we did that earlier. So I change the and to or, and then click add to search builder. So now it puts in pneumonia mesh or bronchitis mesh. If I forgot to do this, I can go and manually correct it here. Next, I type biomarkers in the main search box. I click search. I select biomarkers and just click add to search builder because we need it with and. So now we have built our search in the search builder. And this is why it's best to do it first with pen and paper or in Word so that you can keep checking it, search the term one by one, and then do this. Finally, click search PubMed. We've got some 4,000 odd results. If you just search biomarkers for pneumonia and bronchitis, we get as few as this. Sometimes you get far, far more results. So both ways, it's important that we actually do a mesh search. So in the mesh database, you can search in that box only one time. This pneumonia or bronchitis and all that, you can type in the main PubMed search box once you know mesh terms. But in the mesh database, when you're searching, you search only one search term at a time. You find the term, add it to the builder, then look for the next, and so on. Any questions on this? Very quickly.
No, ma'am, no questions.
Right. So next we'll see how to use subheadings or aspects of a term. So suppose I want to do causes and diagnosis of pneumonia as well as bronchitis. So I type pneumonia like we did earlier, search. This time I don't select it. I click the word pneumonia and see that there are so many aspects of pneumonia I can select and search for. So I select only causes and diagnosis, etiology and diagnosis. I don't want the rest of it to come along with etiology, diagnosis, fine. But otherwise, if articles only on pathology, physiology, I don't need those. So I select these two. I click add to search builder. Just see the long strategy it puts in. Pneumonia / diagnosis mesh or pneumonia / etiology mesh. Diagnosis of pneumonia or etiology of pneumonia. So papers which are indexed with either of these or maybe both of these, all of them we will get if we search at this point. But we also want this for bronchitis. So we type bronchitis, search, repeat this exercise, click, select these two. Again, we change and to or because we want etiology and diagnosis of both terms. We want all results together. Now add to search builder. So this time it says this or this or this or this, all this. Search PubMed. We have all this, 1,12,000 results. If we search it this way, 3,000 something results. So in the mesh database, you can choose more than one subheading, as many as you want. When do you use subheading? Causes of a disease, etiology of asthma, adverse effects of a drug, poisoning by a drug, surgery for hernia. Now, all these, when you have a query like this, think, let me go and check, is there a subheading? If it isn't there, then you look for the other term as a mesh term. Example, risk factors for malaria. You type malaria, click it, and see if there's subheading called risk factors. It won't be there. Then you look for risk factors as a mesh term and then combine the two. So as far as mesh goes, the recap is you find the mesh term, add to search builder, search PubMed. For two or more terms or subheadings, plan the order carefully, choose Boolean operators correctly. Any questions now at this point? Searching mesh database.
No, ma'am, nothing relevant.
Great. Okay, great. These were short things, so hopefully people have understood them. Finally, as I said, a tip. That bit was the advanced basic searching. That is more of the background knowledge on searching. Mesh is an advanced level of background thing. Finally, one very simple tip. When you have an incomplete or incorrect reference, which happens so many times in our lives, what can we do about it? Of course, as long as that is a PubMed item. So let's say you go for a conference or some presentation where the author put up this figure and gives an incomplete reference, which is very often the case because it is said that that much is enough. Now, the author, first author, part of the title and the year. In PubMed, I take you to a second link, single citation matcher. When you click, you get a screen like this. Actually, now it's a little more detailed, but basically the same. What do we have? We have this. So we type in, we type in Kumar V as the author name, forecasting malaria as title words, 2014 in the date field. Click search. The way we did our examples earlier, PubMed translates our query, 2014 PDAT and Kumar V author and forecasting malaria. One single result, 15 seconds to verify this. As long as it's from a PubMed journal, of course. Sometimes you may get more than one, but you can still fairly easily find out which is the one you're looking at. Now, in this case, it gives you that this is free in the journal website as well as in the PMC archive. The journal has deposited a copy in the archive. You can read it at either place. And then you want to cite this in your article. Usually when we write references, we write authors first, then titles, then the journal details. Whereas here, you have journal details, then title, then authors. And it's a mix of font sizes, types, hyperlinks, everything. For a clean citation, click Cite and one second. And here you get the citation in the text format. Just click copy and paste it wherever. This simple thing can save you hours of time. So the final recap for searching. 3 types of information resources: basic learning, research, and synthesis. In PubMed, we learned word search, mesh search, field search, Boolean operators, the 4 principles. We learned about truncation, and we learned this simple feature of a single citation matcher. So any questions at this point? Yeah.
For the final things,
Yes.
I have a few questions. 1 minute.
Go on.
Yeah. So somebody has asked that after you spoke about the truncations and operators, somebody asked that where do we get the PDF on the QMed NGO side?
You don't get PDFs, you get a guide which tells you find PDFs, which is you go to qmed.ngo. In the menu, look for the item resources, click there, and in the small list of resources we have there, the first one is a guide to finding full text articles. So we've told you what all you should do, what all you could try in case you do not find an article free via PubMed.
Okay, ma'am. Understood. Another question was,
Yeah.
should a beginner read articles which are more cited?
I would say just start reading articles. First, make your habit by reading on any topic of interest, or any, you're just browsing through a journal and something looks fancy, read that. Then don't worry about how much it is cited and all that in the beginning. First, understand how to read and how to appraise an article. So in the beginning, before you learn the depth of appraising, in the beginning, just learn to think, how well have they written it? How easy is it to understand? How well have they presented tables, etc. And then go through the act of learning how to appraise articles. Start doing a exercise of appraising. So if it's a case report, look at the checklist for appraising a case report and so on. By the way, in QMed, we've just about started something called a UG Hub. It's really in the beginning stages. One of the activities we do plan later is about appraisal of articles. That is, we want experts in, that is senior doctors to appraise some and give it to us. And we ask UGs to go through, do their appraisal and compare it with whatever the seniors have done, so that they learn, have they done it right or wrong. The earlier you learn to appraise articles, the better you will write, because people are going to look for all those criteria. And it's important anyway, because you don't have to believe everything that you read in an article. So the methodology of research, everything, the more you learn to appraise it, you become better and better at it.
Okay, ma'am. Another question is, is there any difference between keywords and mesh terms?
No, a keyword is just a word. That is the relevant word. A keyword is, if you say, in infants with something, does this happen, does that happen? That in the does, those are not keywords. It's infants, malaria, whatever. Those population, the disease, the comparison, the drug, those are the keywords. Mesh terms are standardized terms for any one single keyword. As I said earlier, myocardial infarction is the standard term for any articles where authors may have used heart attack, heart arrest, heart shock, or whatever terms. The standard term is myocardial infarction, and that is a mesh term.
Okay, ma'am. Understood.
All the others are keywords.
can go ahead.
Thank you. Right, so with that, I come to the end of the first one and we move on to the second thing, which is about referencing. So can you just confirm that you're seeing the slide now, the reference management? Okay. Yeah, thanks. So this is the other side of, so literature searching is something you do before you start any research, while you're doing your research, because what if somebody else has published papers, even at the end, before you actually get to writing, always if there's something new on it, read it up, see whether you need to quote it somewhere, etc. Reference management is an activity that comes while you're writing your paper. Okay, I'll say that slightly differently, sorry for that. Referencing is what you do while writing a paper. Reference management is something which should be a daily job, and I'll explain all that. So when we do research, I think everybody's familiar with this. We are not the first to do all 100% of the research. For example, if you're going to be studying the effects of a particular painkiller in arthritis, you're not the first to be studying that. You're not the first to be studying a painkiller. You may not be the first to study that specific painkiller, etc. But you're doing something beyond so that you're taking the research ahead. So we first do a literature search to find out similar research and publications. And we read all of them or as much of them as we can. And we start doing our research. When we write or report our research, it could be a thesis, article, book, or book chapter. We have to give credits to work done by others. How do we do that? We cite these works at all appropriate parts of the article that we are writing. And at the end, we give full details of each citation as bibliography or references. So if anyone hasn't understood this, we'll just see what they are. So I've taken one open access article just to highlight this. What are citations? You can see numbers at different points. So the authors who have written this, they've written something, 2 lines here, and then put 1, 2, which means they've read up this and they're quoting it from papers number 1 and 2, which they've listed at the end. Then there is paper 3, paper 4, etc., etc. Once you go through all these, at the end of the article, they have listed 1 is this, 2 is this, 3 is this. So what happens? Suppose you have read this line, clinical systematic reviews are this and clinicians read them up to date. You want to know more about why clinicians read them. You could read items number 1 and 2. Both are journal articles. And all these details are given. Maybe you could use the single citation matcher in PubMed to identify them, find the article, read through them. All of them are listed here. So when we write, in order to add those citations and create the reference list, we need to be ready with bibliographic details of anything that we have read. It could be a journal article, it could be a book, it could be a book chapter, website. So what are the elements? When I say we need to be with bibliographic details, let's say journal article, you've seen it in PubMed, author, title, name of the journal, year, volume, issue, page. Okay. So what all do you need to mention while writing references? The bibliographic details. They are also called metadata. That's another term for bibliographic details. So for books, the metadata is either the author or editor or editors, authors, the title of the book, edition if it is not the first. For the first edition, you don't have to write first edition. The city of publication, name of the publisher, year of publication. This many you have to give. Why all this? There could be similar publishers in different places. There could be the same book, which is now in the 21st, 22nd edition. You have to mention that. So the year, all that is vital. So this is typically an example of a book in a reference list. The editors, the title, sorry, the location is gone. Title is Harrison's Principles. I'm sorry, this has got a little messed up. So 18th edition is the edition. New York is the place and McGraw-Hill is the publisher. Sorry about this. I think I didn't import it properly. Okay. Punctuations are important. These are rules that have been there for generations, now getting questioned, but they are there anyway. So full stop are after authors, that is after all authors, comma after each one, comma after the title. Again, I'm sorry about this, comma after title is here. Full stop after the edition, colon after place, that is city, and semicolon after publisher, full stop after the year. Okay. Again, I apologize, I didn't space this right. So as we saw earlier, it all comes here, comma after each author. In this, there's no full stop, there's a style difference, full stop after the title, and so on. 272 after the volume number, colon, and so on. Now, what bibliographic details do we need? To learn what details we need for different types of publications, this is one website where you could find it. Also, a journal or a book that you're writing for will give you something called instructions for authors. If you're writing for a specific journal, follow that. Generally, you're writing, check it out here. Referencing styles, very broadly, there are two classes, the numbered style and the author year style. Numbered citations will be like this at every point, 1, 2, 3, etc. What I showed you earlier. And the same thing if it is, the same thing, the references will be exactly in that order, 1, 2, 3. Now, if the same thing was in the author year format, here, they would not put the number 1, but they would put the author's name. ND means no date. Here, there's the author and year 2018, Ashley and 2019. Now, here, this thing will not come in the same order in which it appears in the journal, in the article, but alphabetically in the order of authors. Because when you're reading something, if I find an author whose name begins with R, and that's the second reference, I wouldn't think of looking, or let's say that's the 35th reference, I can't sit and count. But whereas when it's alphabetical, it's easy to reach there. Referencing styles, there are thousands within each of these, numbered and author year. Each one follows either numbered or author year. The popular one for numbered references is Vancouver, and the author year style, the popular one is Harvard. For research, when we do a literature search, we search PubMed, other resources. I named a few in the beginning. Now, we may download PDFs, we may copy and paste abstracts or download them and store them in different folders. So we actually have a mini internet. Why do I say this? You search your Windows Explorer. Very often it's very difficult to locate. You remember I had this brilliant article, but among your thousands, you don't find it, right? So this is where you need reference managers. And this, well before you start your research at any point, highly recommended, because the more you start downloading and keeping, the longer it's going to take you to do anything like this. What are reference managers? They are softwares that you can use to create a library of references, and that is why I'm saying start now. And that will become like a mini PubMed because it's more focused. It's all your articles, your PDFs, your abstracts, a copy of all that on the web, and it is easily searchable. I'll explain that. So I'm introducing a free software called Mendeley. You can just download it and use it. Another popular one is Zotero. You can do that one as well. But for the purposes of teaching, I'm teaching Mendeley here. So my Mendeley web library, as I said, I have it on the web. I have it downloaded, both, and both are synced. So my Mendeley web library looks like this. It will have 3 panes. The first has a whole lot of options. The second is like your PubMed results, just a brief about each item. Now my cursor is here. So I have more details about this article here, the abstract, the ISSN of the journal, the PMID, all these details are in the third column. First column is for what all we can do. Second is your library items. Third is more details about each item wherever you've clicked it. So you know you're on the web version when you see the URL here. The Mendeley desktop will look identical, same 3 columns, but you know you're on the desktop. First thing, you have this word desktop here, plus you have typical menu items. Both can be synced to any device. You may have a home computer, office computer, college computer, something, iPad, etc. Mendeley has stopped the mobile device part of it. On any number of other devices, you can have them. Importantly, the library becomes a source from which you can add citations and reference lists while you are writing your thesis paper, whatever. That really saves you humongous amount of times. Once you have an item, let's say a Harrison's textbook or one specific article from a BMJ, how many ever articles you're going to write in your life, it's the same one you're just going to use with a few clicks. You don't have to type it in each and every time. The citing and referencing can be done only from the desktop version, not the web version. So let's begin. How do we use Mendeley? First, go to the website mendeley.com. This might look different. They keep changing their designs every time. But what is important for us is there is a create a free account that never goes. So you will click that to create your account first time. And subsequent times, once you have your account in place, put down your password as for always, you will use the sign-in option. So when you make your create your ID, you come to a page like this, where the first time you need to download the Mendeley Reference Manager so that you have your desktop app as well. You'll click this, download Mendeley Reference Manager. And later on, as I said, you'll go to library. We'll leave that for now. When you click the download Mendeley Reference Manager, today you have this download Mendeley desktop for Windows. There is also a new Mendeley Reference Manager. I'm still teaching this one because it has been steady for a while. This, I'm not sure if it is completely steady and usable. So at this moment, I'm still teaching this. So we'll click download Mendeley desktop for Windows. And this reference manager that you're downloading is the desktop software or app. And this is where you will store details of all items. You will sync it to your web version, of course. Once you've downloaded the main software, you have to do 2 more things. One is to install something called a web importer. This helps you to import details of journal articles, etc., from any journal website or databases like PubMed. The source website has the right structure. PubMed has it. Many journal websites have it. Some journal websites do not. That time, you'll find that you cannot import. I'll tell you what to do then. So to install this web importer, on the same page from where you downloaded the Mendeley desktop, scroll down a little more and you will find a web importer image and a find out more below. So in that same page, when you go further down, that get tools and add on, this is just below that where we downloaded the reference manager. So you'll see this thing called web importer. Click the find out more. When you click that, the next screen, it will show this. You need to click get web importer for whatever is your browser. I would recommend Chrome or Firefox. When you click this, you have to say add to Chrome, and in your browser on this area, this Mendeley icon will come in here, and that is your web importer. I'll show you how to use the web importer. Last thing to do, easiest done from the desktop version that you downloaded. In menu, go to tools and click install Word plugin. So this is tools and click install MS Word plugin. When you click there, what happens is in your Microsoft Word, a bunch of buttons will get installed. I'll be showing you that later. So now you're all set. You downloaded the software, you install the web importer, you install the Word plugin. So on the Mendeley web version, if you click library, your library is first blank. Similarly, the desktop version that you downloaded, your desktop is first blank. A good practice before you populate is you create one or more folders. This, if it is relevant for you, of course, but I guess it will be when I tell you what I'm saying. So your folders could be different topics on which you want to read up more or want to do research, examples, or suppose you're going to attend conferences at different places and you're presenting something, or you want to attend different topics for which you want to do some reading, name those conferences. So let's say in my Mendeley desktop, I have searches that I've done for people. So I've put Cochrane searches for Dr. B, PubMed searches for Dr. B. I've put in those results there. I've made a folder vitamin C for common cold. That is something I've done for somebody. So my way of working is different. I don't have to do reading of papers because I do it only in my field, which is library science. But here I do more of storing search results for helping anybody out. All you need to do for this is to click create folder, a blank space will come in, type in the folder name, as simple as that. So how do I add items to Mendeley? What all can you add? Full text PDFs. I'm sure all of you have several downloaded. That can be all stored in Mendeley. Bibliographic details only for non-free articles that you've found on PubMed or other areas. For books that you have read, because you can't always store a full book. Not all books are available in PDF format that way. Website details, conference papers, etc. 3 methods of populating. One is you can type in details manually. You have your Harrison's textbook. You're going to cite it very often. One time, type in all the details. After that, you don't have to worry about it. You're reading it physically. When you're quoting it, you just take it from here. Adding your existing PDFs, you can drag and drop them or insert them through some commands. I'll show you that. And when you do a PubMed or PubMed search, or you're browsing certain journal website, you can import either using the web importer or another method. I'm going to quickly show you all this. So typing manually first. So we are on the Mendeley desktop. We see these menu items, and below that there are certain icons. Next to this, or just above this add files, there's an arrow. If you click there, you get 4 options. You'll get these even if you click file, but you get many more. So this makes it easier. Click add entry manually and you'll get a pop-up like this. By default, the item type will be journal article because most often people are quoting journal articles. So if you have a rare journal that you don't find the web, etc., then you need to type those and store those details. So here you will type in the title, here you will type in the author, name of the journal, year, volume, issue, page of the article. Finally, when you do all that, the save button will become live and you click it. Now, if you want any other item type, yeah, here as I said, add item. If you click this arrow, you can choose. If you want to cite a book, you'll take the book option, you'll get different fields here. Author, title, ISBN, edition, publisher, all that. So fill in all that. Now, there's a shortcut in certain cases. If you know the PMID, which is unique for every item in PubMed, or the DOI, which is unique for all the electronic articles that are there. Archive ID, which is more popular in physics, so we'll skip that. So in the add entry manually, from the journal item type, if you scroll down further, you'll see all these options. So suppose you type in the PMID here and click the search button here. After typing, don't click save. You'll have to click the search button and you'll have to be connected to the internet. It will go to PubMed and import all these details here. You saved a lot of typing time. Then click save and you're done. How do you add existing PDFs? You can drag and drop them into that middle frame of Mendeley, or the same arrow, click add files, just like you pick up attachments for emails, pick it up from wherever it is in your computer. So once you do that, it comes and sits in the middle pane, and the last pane has all the details here. It extracts the metadata into the correct fields. But it's also important to click the and read to open the PDF and match these details, because sometimes it doesn't get extracted right. So check that the title is right, then all these journal details are right from whichever area of the PDF has all of them. Okay, so whenever, make sure that you've properly extracted, or go and edit from the PDF, see and correct the page number or volume number. You can use the web version too. On the web, you'll have, if you click this add button here, you have option of new manual entry and import document. Adding literature from PubMed. Suppose you've done a PubMed search. Okay? I've actually gone to the mesh database, malaria/drug therapy. Major is a more focused mesh term. This I teach in detail in our workshops. And pregnancy complications mesh. I have 25 results. I don't know how many of you have observed. Okay, I've also added some filters, and that's why filters are available on this side. I don't know how many of you have observed that by default, you can see only 10 results. You'll have to keep clicking more as you see more. But what you will do is click the where you will see these.
You should ask.
Yeah. Per page default is 10. You can change that to a higher number. Okay. So next higher number is 20. Next higher number is 50. So if you select 50, all 25 will be shown here. Then you click the web importer. When you click the web importer, a pop-up comes like this. Okay. And it will show all the 25 here. Then you can either select all, or you select one or more that you want to import. Okay. If you didn't do this, you'll have to go to the next page and all that. So always first display maximum. And you can select which folder you want to import it to. So if there's a specific topic and you have a folder for it, instead of my library, you can change it to that folder and then click the add. So they will all get added to that folder. So this is about importing using a web importer. Once you imported these 25 results, suppose for some of them you have your PDF on the computer, you can attach it to the appropriate reference. How do you do that? Wherever you've actually got PDFs, it shows here. Let's say this was one you imported through a PubMed search, and you know that you have the PDF. I'm sorry, here it's showing a different one, but let's say for this one, if you had the matter here, you scroll down further in the third column, you will find add PDF as an option. You click that, pick up the PDF wherever it's stored on your computer, and then this will also show the PDF option. Suppose you want to import large results. Now here I have 266 results. In one page, you can display maximum 200. So if you don't want to do 2 times importing, and that too selecting is a problem and things like that, you want to import all of them, what do? You click save. When you click save, you get some options. You will have to select all results, not other options are results on this page, results, selected items, all that. Suppose you have done selections, you can choose select items, all results, and the format has to be, I'm sorry, it shouldn't be PMID, it has to be PubMed. It's a mistake here. It should be the PubMed format. When you do that and click create file, a file will get downloaded exporting all the 266 in a format called the PubMed format. Save this. It will get downloaded into your downloads folder, or if you have a default folder anywhere, and you can save it into a folder of your choice if you need to. Then in Mendeley Desktop, choose a folder where you want to import these results by keeping your cursor on that folder. Click Add Files. I'll show it to you with the diagram as well, and pick up the saved file. All results will get imported into this folder. So suppose it's for vitamin C common cold, then you click this down arrow, click Add Files, the way we said about adding PDFs, the same way, click Add Files, and all of them will come into that. You'll pick it up from wherever, downloads folder or wherever, and then everything will get into this. 266 will all show up here immediately. Reorganizing folders further if you wish to. So while we have so many folders, etc., suppose we are on all documents, which is like your Gmail inbox, and you want to put some in Gmail, we can add labels like that. If you want to do that, you can choose any item and drag and drop it into specific folders. But the main item will always remain in all documents, and you'll have a copy in the folders. How do you search your library? We've created our library. Searching is as simple as searching here. You can just do a plain word search, or you can do a field search. Like I chose author, I typed Wilson, and then I chose publication and typed Nature Medicine. And I've got Wilson, author, Nature Medicine. My library is much smaller than the 30 million in PubMed, even if I have thousands. It's very easy to search my library. Even if I just typed Wilson, Nature Medicine, I might have just got this. Maximum, I might get one or two more where Wilson is there, Nature Medicine is there, whatever. Most features possible on Mendeley Web. I already showed you these two. If you want to organize into folders, you select your items and add them to folders as they get shown here. That way. Just slight difference from the desktop version, but the same features. Search the library is here. So we saw how to create the library and how to search it. Before we move on to how to cite and reference, a small thing about what you can do with PDFs. So you can see I've highlighted something here. I've made a note here. That's possible with the highlight option, the note option. You see, each of these shows up in the menu only when you go to that area. So once I click of PDF, then it will show the highlight and note option, rotate, all these things. Okay. Right. Citing and referencing, the very exciting part of it. So as I said earlier, in Mendeley Desktop, you go to the Tools menu and install Word plugin. The Word plugin, where does it get installed? In the References tab. A bunch of, this is called the Mendeley Cytomatic plugin. You have so many buttons here. Insert citation, insert bibliography, citation style, export, refresh. So many options. Okay. So let's say I'm writing an article. I typed in the first paragraph. I want to add a citation here because I read up this bit somewhere else. I position my cursor here and I click insert citation. When I click that, a pop-up appears. I have two options. Either I can, if I remember offhand the author title, any words, I can type in all that. It will start showing up options just above. Suppose it shows 2 or 3 and I say, the third one is the one I read up where I had these kind of matter in it. So I select it and, I'll click OK. If I don't offhand remember, I click this, go to Mendeley. I'm taken to Mendeley. I can go to the folder where I'm having pneumonia related articles stored up for this. And I can browse through and say, oh yeah, this was the one I read. I click that one. And on top in the menu, a cite button will appear. Just like we saw in the previous case that notes this thing. When we go from Word By clicking Go to Mendeley, a cite button will show. So choose your item, click cite, you will be automatically brought back here, and the number will get added with either of these options. Similarly, I type the next paragraph and I do the same activities. I type in citations number 2, 3, 4, and 5. This way I can go on. Finally, I take my cursor right to the end. I have the references heading there and I take my cursor just below. Now I click Insert Bibliography. From Mendeley, the third pane where the metadata got extracted, all this gets in a single click. 5 references, not too bad to type. If you had 30, 40, 80, 100, imagine laboriously typing all that. Instead, all this is done in the particular style. In our case, we had Vancouver here. It's in a Vancouver style. Okay, suppose we want to change our style. Okay. Vancouver, we want to change it to say American Psychological Association, that's APA 6th edition, which is an author year style. We just choose that, and what will happen, I'm showing it you broadly here. So if we had it as citations with numbers and in this order the references are there, when we change the style, it will show it with author year and the references in alphabetical order. So Agarwal will come top here, whereas here Agarwal came second because it's a number. So Agarwal will come first, Akerkar will come second. This is how it will automatically change. And just for 2, it seems simple, but imagine if there are 35, 40, 100, and you're changing the style, all of them with a single click. Why will we need to change? Let's say you sent it to one journal and they rejected it. And their requirement was Vancouver. You send it to the second journal, you forget to note that they want the APA style. You send it to them and they say article is fine, we'll accept it, but please submit it with the APA style. One click and it's done. So this kind of humongous time saving. All your references are well organized. When I say references here, I mean each item, your journal article, your book, etc. Whether you write articles or not, it's a great idea to start creating your reference manager today. Easy retrieval, you find anything you want easily. When I'd urge you all to do one thing. Today, when you get back to your computer after the thing, just browse through your directories of PDFs. See if you have PDFs with very weird file names. Sometimes you'll have PDFs with weird file names. You have no idea what it contains till you click and open it. How will you ever find that one? So that is where, if you put it into Mendeley, the metadata gets extracted and you can search by the author or the title or the journal name, etc. Citing and referencing, we just saw. Insert citation, insert bibliography. Changing style of references, single click. Yes, one issue you may have to deal with is duplicates. Suppose you search from several resources. That is, I'll just go back. You search PubMed, you search Lilacs, which is free, you search Google Scholar, which is free, etc. And you import stuff. Or you search variations of a topic. That is, today you search malaria etiology. 1 week later, you search malaria epidemiology. There would be articles which discuss both, so they will come twice. You import them. Duplicates are bound to enter. So what if you have duplicates? Okay, it takes more disk space, but that's not the important thing. Suppose you have 2 items, 2 physical items that you have imported separately. An article in BMJ by an author called White on, say, dengue. Now you're writing an article on dengue and you quote this BMJ article in the first paragraph. Let's say your citation is number 3. In your 10th paragraph, you want to quote the same article again. So in between, you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 citations for different other articles you've typed. And let's say you've come to reference number 20. Now you want to enter the same BMJ item. Ideally, when you choose that, it should show number 3 again because it's the same one. But if you go to Mendeley and choose physically a separate one, it will come as number 21. Okay. So when you, in your list of references, the same item will come twice, and that's not a healthy practice. It has to be the same number so that it appears in your references only under number 3. So you must remove duplicates from your reference manager. How do we do that? You go to Tools, check for duplicates. When I did this exercise for demonstration here, it told me I have 146 sets of duplicates in my main library, all documents. I have hidden the rest of them. I'm shown only the topmost one. And if I click the small right pointing arrow, what it will show me below is a pop-up like this, where it comes 3 times, but actually this is the mention, and these are 2 physical separate items. What do I need to do? I'm just going to orally describe it. If I click the first one and I look at the third pane, all this is in the middle pane. If I look at the third pane, I'll get certain messages. I need to click the second and the third, that is the first instance and the second physical, and look at the third pane. What are the messages I would get? One could be no conflicting fields, you can merge. Both are duplicate, pakka duplicate items. The merge option will show in the third pane. I click merge. Another option that can come is duplicates have conflicting fields. Here, the 2 could be different. That is, everything else is the same, but they are published in 2 different journals. Sometimes authors do it. That's a wrong practice, but they do it. And the other journal, second journal, accepts it by mistake. So if there are 2 different ones, then you have to go through the articles and see which one you want to keep and remove the other. Or if they're really different articles, you choose that not a duplicate will be the option. So merge if really duplicate, not a duplicate if they are unique items. So that is how you manage your whole library and run the whole thing. So let's do a full recap. Getting started, you go to mendeley.com, download the desktop version, which is the main software, download or install the web importer, and install Word plugin. That is in Microsoft Word, it comes in. Populating your library, you can add entry manually by typing, or you can add a PMID and click search icon, and with an internet connection, it will import it. You can do add file and add the PDFs that you have, or just drag and drop them. Web importer saves records from PubMed or journal websites where you have 1 or more articles. And I also showed you that if you do a PubMed search with large results, you click the save button, choose all items and the PubMed format, not the PMID format that I put in by mistake. Organizing your library, you can create folders, ideally import records into folders if they are specific for a topic. Search your library. The desktop version seems to work better for that. Citing from your library, as you write, wherever you need to cite something, position your cursor and click insert citation and do the needful. End, add bibliography with 1 click with the insert bibliography button. Change styles with 1 click. Disclaimer, there's lots more about changing styles. Sometimes your style may not be there, you've got to add it, there's more things, but once it is there, it's a simple operation. Importantly, you have to check the third pane. I told you there are 3 columns, the third pane, because that is where the metadata is and everything has to be accurate there. This part, right? Abstract, whether it is there, not accurate, doesn't matter. Title, author, name of the journal, year, volume, page. If it's a book, author, title, place, publisher, date, all that has to be accurate. And remember, it's a one-time activity for you, correcting it. After that, any number of times you use this item in different articles, you don't have to worry. Regularly sync the web and desktop versions. It automatically happens when you open the desktop, and if you're connected, it happens yeah, that's the time it automatically happens. But it's important to keep doing it if you're working for 2 hours and all that. And if you're adding citations, etc., then because when you're importing, let's say when you're using the web importer, it first goes to your Mendeley desktop version. And only when you click sync, it comes into your, sorry, I made a mistake. When I click the web importer, it goes into Mendeley web. Click sync on the desktop, and that's when it comes into the desktop version. Sync button is here. So do start using a reference manager to create your own library, to read, to cite while you write. And with that, we are at the end. So what I'll quickly do is I will just introduce our courses and then take questions. So as I said this, before that, I told you about the resources option. If you go here, you get that guide to finding full text articles. I want to take you to our online courses option. It will open a page in this site to tell you what courses we have, what are the options for UG students. That will come as a link on the right side, all that. And the main courses website is here, which also is linked from there. First 2 courses are free. Whatever I taught you today, plus some supplemental stuff is there in this course and this course, Introduction to Referencing. Mastering PubMed is lots of details on PubMed, lots more details on Mendeley. These 2 are available when somebody gives us money. Individuals give it to us as a donation, institutions give it to us as a payment. Apart from these courses, we have a database of resources which are useful for research overall. Could be for searching, could be for writing, could be for critical appraisal, whole lot of things. So it's a nice library to go and explore. So all these are not under the free bracket. It's when you give a donation or when you, as an institution, if an institution pays. So the courses, just to say, this is it. When you first click courses on our own website, please look up this part for UG students. One is, we ask for a donation of just 250 rupees from UG students, just as a commitment. Importantly, if you do the courses within 1 month and you get good grades, we even reward you with some small prize money. I would also request you to follow us on any of these social media because we keep posting something useful or the other in this. And these are my contact details. I'm sorry. The best way is info@pumed.ngo because we can track the questions, reply, and if not me, my colleagues, they might reply or alert me and so on. If I haven't got back to you, send me a WhatsApp message on this. If you ask me a question on this and I get too many, it's difficult for me to track, whereas an email is easier to track. And as I said, my colleagues also they can't track my phone. So with that, I guess I'm done. So any questions? Happy to answer.
Yes, ma'am. There are a few questions that I have written down. So there was a question for an undergraduate student, which form of research is more preferable and suitable, which they can get published?
Slightly tough question to answer simply because I've seen undergraduates do a range of it, including systematic reviews. So I would say really, I'm really no authority to answer this. I'll only answer it based on hearsay. So what I would say is there are lots of undergraduate groups now helping out with research options and things like that. So please liaise with each other and see a lot of learning because I'm getting alerts of so many webinars where such questions are answered. So I would rather you get it from those resources. At QMed, we ourselves, I'll just take you back 1 second. Okay. This is a slightly older page. Now we have one more menu item called UG Hub. So if you click there and go in, we've just about got started on 2 projects and we are looking for more, where there is one young doctor who's actually leading the whole process. I'm just providing a platform plus providing these courses and that related teaching. He is guiding 2 projects right now where small groups of UGs have got selected, and we have a senior mentor in each case who will guide on the topic, and looking forward to getting publications. So just note down, there will be a button called UG Hub. You can check that out, but there are other bodies. Don't rely only on us because we are just starting now. Feel free to apply there, but also look at other options. What kind of, what we are doing is systematic and narrative reviews both.
And ma'am, there was one question which was asked at the start, but I couldn't ask it to you at that time. What is Web of Science?
Web of Science, okay. So long back, there was something called a Science Citation Index, which was a citation index. That, as I said, is if I have written a paper, how many times is that paper cited? Which are the citing papers? That kind of a thing. So Web of Science is a mix of Science Citation Index plus other indexes altogether. Very, very robust database. Again, it's a paid database. And it mainly is for you to see how often this thing is cited. Why is it useful in literature searching? Because you have searched and you found the paper. Then you want to see the impact of the paper. You go there and look for that paper and see how many other papers have cited it. You might find more similar articles, which may be similar and yet very different. And there's something you learn out of those papers. So actually, while doing a systematic review, this is one of the steps that people do. See the papers that have cited these papers to see if there are any more papers on that.
Ma'am, we just got a question just now. Do we get certificates on completion of these online courses?
All 4 you get a certificate, but as of now, the certificates are not accredited by anybody. We are looking at getting them accredited. Right now, they are not. And once they are, I really don't know whether we can do anything to backdate them or no, but you do get proper certificates, yes.
Okay, so I think that's it.
Maybe I should also add that those who give a donation and join in, it also serves like a 1-year membership. You have access to all the paid areas for 1 year. You also can take help from us wherever you get stuck with a search or with any questions, etc. 2-3 ways. One is we have the email option of support@pumed.ngo. We have this, every course has discussion forums, so you could ask questions there and get answers from the community. We've just started there, so right now it's not too populated. And you can set up time with us. Like what I do for systematic review authors is, I guide them to the area in the PubMed lesson about how to do a detailed search, ask them to do a detailed search, send me the strategy, then we have a Zoom call where I comment on what all they should change. They do a second attempt, send it to me, and so on. So those kind of guidances.
And there is one more, which are the other platforms helping undergraduates to get their studies published?
So if you go to our page, UG Hub, I've listed 1 or 2. I need to list more of them as I find them. If any of you know of any more, please write. I will include all of them. So as I said, that link will be UG Hub, which is here. There we've listed 2 or 3 others, but I'm finding more and more that are coming up there.
Okay, so I think that's all the questions that we had.
Great, we finished perfectly on time. I'm glad about that. I was a little worried about delays.
No, ma'am, it was a great
That's
session.
great. So I hope everybody's enjoyed it, and I'm hoping to see, my dream is each come and joining our course. Sacrifice 1 pizza and join our course. I want to see UG students learning everything fast, being all prepared when you get into PG, so that you, or any other higher studies, to do all this correctly. Because otherwise I see students struggling with all this along with the patient load and surgery load and whatever it is. Get prepared well in advance. And it's all fun to do all this now. One request, if you do our courses, please share your certificates on social media and all that so that others get to learn. And because it's lovely when I read, UG students saying, I found your courses on social media and I'm so glad I found them. Because we want to reach out across. And yeah, one more request is, any of you go through the free courses if you wish to, all that. If you want your institution to subscribe to it, please introduce me to whoever is in charge of research, Dean of Research or whatever, so that we can talk to them and talk. We are offering it to colleges at a throwaway price, really. And we want colleges to take them. Right now, it's been a struggle for us to reach to colleges because of the pandemic. Everybody's so busy with COVID. But for research heads, it's their job to evaluate this kind of thing and add it if required. And we make it as easy as possible for a college to take it. So that's on one side. We are trying for accreditation as well. If that happens, that will make it much easier. Colleges will automatically take it. But till then. So any help that any of you listening to me today can give me about this, not because we need this, but because we have skills to share, skills that are so vital, unknown, no one's teaching them. We think everybody should be enriched with these skills, and that's why. Great. So if there are no more questions.
No, ma'am, no more questions. And I'm sure that everybody has loved the session. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to enlighten us about these important topics in research. And it was very informative, and I'm very sure that all the participants must have enjoyed it and gained a lot of knowledge today.
Thank you everybody for all your comments. If there's a possibility of copy pasting those comments and sending it to me, please do. That'll be nice to get them.
Sure.
Yeah, that was a nice group, and you don't have to thank me for my time, because for us it's a mission to reach out, and I love reaching out to undergraduates. I will say thank you for all the participation apart from the opportunity to speak. I just loved all those questions. Very, very good ones. Yes.
It was a pleasure to have you, ma'am.
Mine too, both ways.
To all the students or all the participants, Nishant has sent the feedback form. Please fill it before you all leave the Zoom call.
Oh, by the way, in my college days, I was a Rotaractor too, so I feel part of all of you. I never became a Rotarian eventually, but
that's really great, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you all for your comments.
Yes, please guys, switch on your cameras. Like, you can flaunt these screenshots later on your social media. Yeah, just be quick.
We'd like to see all your faces.
Yes.
A little this side.
Okay, it's done. Yes.
All done?
Yes, ma'am. And thank you so much, ma'am. We really love to hear you always.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Right.
Yes.
So
excuse me, I have a doubt. Can I please ask it?
yeah, please, sure.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much for the amazing session, and thank you, RCC members who are here. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. Ma'am, if we join your course, for example, as a UG student, do we get guidance on the topic selection and all those things as well?
That's not my area of expertise, right? So part of it I could help you with. Maybe, let's say you thought of a topic, how do you define it? That kind of a thing I could help. But you got to remember, I'm not a doctor, first thing, forget any specialist. And I don't work in a medical college or something, so I don't have that entire scenario. What I have is the expertise, forgive me for saying this, about the ignorance on these topics across institutions. So I've made my courses to ensure that all that ignorance gets wiped out. Yeah. So anything about searching and referencing is the main thing. Anything else, feel free to ask me. If I happen to know it because I've picked it up from other places, I will guide you. I may point out to articles that talk about how to choose a topic. That kind of a thing also, that way. So indirect help from other.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Most welcome. Anybody else? Last minute questions? So do make sure that all of you are great on the research pathway. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
So can I leave now? All done?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.